This presentation explores the vital roles parents play, the different family structures, and the various approaches to discipline and their effects. The warm family image here underscores the importance of relationships in parenting, setting a thoughtful and engaging tone as we delve into this topic. Let's get started. On this slide, you can see the structure of our presentation. We'll begin by setting the stage with an overview of how family structures are changing and explore cultural diversity between families. Then, we'll dig into what parenting really means, examining parenting as a goal-oriented behavior and the best ways to study it. We'll look at different parenting traits and styles and discuss the ongoing debates around causes in child rearing. The presentation will also cover discipline strategies across different child development stages, from infants to adolescence, plus how discipline fits within the broader family context. We'll touch on the politics surrounding discipline, and finally, wrap up with directions for future research and a conclusion. This roadmap will guide us through the key topics related to parenting and discipline. Here, we're setting the stage by looking at the family context and its vital role in parenting. Child rearing mainly happens within the family, and the way a family is structured, whether it's a single-parent or two-parent household, significantly shapes the quality of parenting and how children adjust. One of the key elements in raising children is discipline, which doesn't exist in isolation. It's closely connected to the family structure, the levels of stress parents experience, and ultimately, the social and emotional health of the child. The image helps illustrate this by showing a family unit, giving us a visual sense of how these dynamics play out in everyday life. Understanding this foundation is crucial as we explore how parenting and discipline affect child development. Here we see how the structure of families in the United States has changed over time, specifically from 1960 to the present. In 1960, an overwhelming 91% of children lived in two-parent families. Today, that number has dropped significantly, reflecting a shift toward more diverse family arrangements. Currently, about 32% of children live in mother-headed households, while only 3% live in father-headed households. When we break this down by race and ethnicity, the differences become even more apparent. For example, 65% of Black children live in mother-headed households, which is notably higher than the 23% of white children and 37% of Hispanic children in similar family structures. These changes reveal important social dynamics and highlight the varying family experiences across different communities. Recognizing these shifts helps us better understand the environment in which children are raised today, which is essential when considering factors like parenting, support systems, and child development. On this slide, we explore the rich diversity that exists in family child-rearing practices, shaped by ethnic, racial, and cultural backgrounds. Research shows that families have a wide range of goals and values when it comes to raising children. These can include honoring traditions, encouraging conformity or achievement, fostering physical closeness, promoting family connectedness, and emphasizing interdependence among family members. Beyond cultural identity, other important factors also influence how parents raise their children. These include religiosity, whether the children are biological or adopted, and even parents' sexual orientation. All of these elements highlight the complexity and inclusiveness of family diversity today. The image on the right, depicting a busy urban street scene, symbolizes this multicultural environment where various family values and child-rearing practices coexist and interact. It reminds us that parenting is deeply influenced by the cultural context and the unique backgrounds of each family. Parenting is really a blend of thoughts, actions, and emotions that work together to guide a child's development. There are 6 fundamental tasks parents perform that are essential for healthy growth. First, providing safety and sustenance means meeting a child's basic needs and ensuring their survival. Then, socioemotional support is about offering love, warmth, and encouragement, which helps promote the child's psychological well-being. Stimulation and instruction focus on giving adequate learning opportunities to prevent boredom and encourage growth. Monitoring or surveillance involves keeping track of the child's whereabouts, activities, and development to ensure their safety. Structure refers to establishing routines, organization, and discipline, which creates a predictable and secure environment. Altogether, these components build a strong foundation for children to grow into capable adults within their cultural contexts. The image here, showing a parent and child interacting with a tablet, really highlights this nurturing dynamic in action. On this slide, we see that parenting is fundamentally goal-oriented. Parents have the important task of guiding their children toward becoming capable and competent adults. This process is often framed as socialization, which is really about helping children learn the skills, behaviors, and values they'll need throughout life. What's key here is that socialization isn't the same everywhere. It's highly culture-specific. Depending on cultural expectations, parents focus on different areas like teaching gender roles, shaping cognitive abilities, managing emotions, encouraging prosocial behavior, and developing awareness around race. This shows just how multifaceted parenting is. It's not just about meeting a child's immediate needs, but about nurturing a broad range of qualities and competencies that reflect both individual and cultural priorities. Ultimately, parenting is a complex, purposeful endeavor that shapes development in many interconnected ways. Parenting is a complex area of study, and to understand it fully, researchers use 7 different approaches. These include looking at parenting traits, examining how social learning shapes behavior, considering the social and cultural context, and even how children influence their parents in return. We also look at moment-to-moment interactions, how parents think and make decisions, and use advanced statistical methods like structural equation modeling to analyze these relationships. By using all these approaches together, we get a much clearer and more complete picture of how parenting impacts child development. This multifaceted approach is essential because no single perspective can capture the full complexity of raising a child. Let's begin by looking at the core dimensions of parenting according to Baumrinn's model. These dimensions are warmth, structure, and demandingness. Warmth refers to the emotional support and affection a parent provides. Structure involves setting clear rules and expectations, while demandingness is about the degree of control or discipline. Building on these dimensions, we have 4 distinct parenting styles. First is authoritative parenting, which combines warmth with structure and clear demands. Then there's authoritarian parenting, characterized by strict rules and less warmth. The permissive style is warm and indulgent but lacks firm boundaries. Lastly, rejecting or neglecting parents show low levels of warmth and control, often leading to disengagement. Research shows that authoritative parenting is strongly linked to positive outcomes in children, including better social competence and emotional health. In contrast, the other styles tend to be associated with challenges such as aggression, depression, delinquency, and reduced social skills. The image of the overlapping hands here symbolizes the connection and care that authoritative parenting fosters, while the icons help break down these key ideas visually. Here we explore a key debate in child rearing, focusing on who really drives a child's development. On one side, we have Watson's perspective, which promotes a unidirectional model where parents are seen as the primary agents shaping their children's outcomes. This authoritative view suggests that parents have the main influence over a child's socialization and development. On the other side, there's a different angle emphasizing the role of children themselves and their peers. Lewis argued that children's own traits can actually influence how parents behave toward them. Harris further took this idea by claiming that peer influence, especially during adolescence, can be even more significant than parental socialization. This ongoing debate isn't just theoretical. It has real implications for parenting practices, including controversial topics like physical punishment. While some research suggests a limited positive effect, the overall negative consequences highlight the complexity of these relationships. By understanding these contrasting views, we get a clearer picture of the dynamic, reciprocal nature of how children develop within their social environments. When we look at discipline for infants and toddlers, the focus is on establishing routines and making the environment safe as they start to explore the world around them. At this stage, caregivers often use more immediate, sometimes punitive responses, like yelling or even spanking, because children are just beginning to assert their independence and may not comply easily. These early years are marked by a lot of trial and error as children test boundaries. Moving to preschoolers, we see a noticeable shift. Their growing cognitive and emotional skills mean they can begin to understand reasoning and logical consequences. Despite this, physical punishment tends to peak between ages 3 and 5, which can unfortunately lead to a cycle of coercion and behavior problems. For preschool-age children, using reasoning and explaining consequences tends to be a much more effective and healthier approach, supporting their emotional growth and encouraging better behavior in the long run. So, as children develop, discipline strategies should evolve to match their abilities and promote positive outcomes. During the school-age years, children develop important cognitive skills such as enhanced theory of mind, memory, language, and logical reasoning. These abilities make reasoning an especially effective way to guide and discipline them. However, this stage also brings challenges like psychological control and lying, as children start to test boundaries and prefer explanations over physical punishment. As children enter adolescence, there's a noticeable shift. Teens seek more autonomy, which means they require increased supervision, monitoring, and clear limits to help balance their growing independence with appropriate guidance. Research shows that authoritative parenting during this stage, characterized by warmth combined with firm structure, promotes higher self-esteem, greater life satisfaction, and better school performance. It also helps reduce risks of depression, substance use, and delinquent behavior. Overall, understanding these developmental changes is key to adapting discipline strategies effectively to support healthy growth from childhood through adolescence. When we look at discipline within the family context, there are a few important factors to consider. First, single parents often experience more stress and can sometimes be more irritable. However, they frequently approach discipline with a positive, problem-solving mindset, which can be very effective. In families with two parents, co-parenting plays a crucial role. Presenting a united front in discipline helps create consistency and a clear structure for children, whereas undermining each other can make it harder for kids to regulate their behavior. Lastly, differential treatment among siblings is common, but children's perceptions of fairness are key. When they feel that discipline is unfair or unequal, it can impact how they respond and adjust. Notice in the image how the family setting reflects the close, relational nature of discipline. It's not just about rules, but about the family dynamics at play. Here we see the politics surrounding the discipline debate. On one side, we have sociologist Murray Strauss, who argues that physical punishment like spanking is harmful. He links it to negative effects on social competence and mental health, even equating it with child abuse, and sees it as contributing to a broader culture of violence. On the other side, there are figures like James Dobson and John Rosemond, who draw on biblical proverbs to justify spanking as a necessary way to teach obedience and respect. This clash between scientific research and religious or cultural values has sparked significant controversy. As a result, more than 100 countries have banned corporal punishment in both schools and homes, yet in the US, spanking still remains widely accepted. So this debate involves not only psychology and ethics, but also deeply held cultural beliefs and policy decisions, making it a complex and ongoing issue for parents and society to navigate. Here, we look at 3 key directions for future research and wrap up with some important conclusions. First, by unpacking parenting styles into specific behaviors, we can better understand how each one uniquely affects children's development and well-being. Next, it's crucial to consider the child's perspective, how they cognitively and emotionally process discipline, which gives us deeper insight into their reactions and feelings about different approaches. Finally, contextualizing discipline reminds us that family relationships, structure, and cultural background all shape how discipline is practiced and experienced. Overall, this highlights that while discipline is an essential part of parenting, building positive and respectful relationships is far more effective than relying on coercion or physical punishment. The image of this family calmly engaging together reflects that hopeful, constructive message beautifully.